That's what we like. That's what we do at the Fling Show. We like supporting the women and the juniors, and it's just like it's been our thing since the start. So it kind of happened by accident because we ran match play, and when we met Meredith, we're like, I told Chris, like, Meredith should be on the show, and so that kind of started our whole focus on women in disc golf, because it needs it, I mean, I've never met a woman that played that didn't want to keep playing. I mean, I'm sure they're out there, but it's cool to see the growth of the sport coming from the women, for sure.
Yeah, it's so good to put a face with Throw Pink. I'll be honest, I think it's Austin that I first started hearing Throw Pink out of with Renee. And so when I heard you were coming on, I was like, well, that's the face. And you just said you don't really have any Houston following. I'm sure, yes, you do. Many people here do follow you, but I am a new one, and I'm so excited and to see all you've done. I noticed that you started a PDGA or playing in a PDGA in 2007. Like, when did you actually start playing disc golf, and how did that come about?
Well, I actually joined the PGA in 2007, but I was living in the middle of Yellowstone National Park. I worked out there for 3 years, and I didn't join to play in events. I joined because I wanted a magazine, and they had a cool magazine, and I was living in the middle of the woods and didn't have TV or anything else. And so the only way to keep track of any kind of disc golf news was to get the magazine. I think it was called Disc Golf World or something back then.
World. Yeah, that's out of Kansas City.
Yeah, Rick. It was Rick Rothstein. Yeah.
Rothstein, yeah.
I still have all of those, but so I didn't actually play an event until 2008. So I was a member for a full year before I even played an event, and I played one in Columbia, South Carolina, and I just loved it. I was hooked right away. But there's only 3 women in the whole event, and it's so crazy now because I just played an event in Hendersonville, North Carolina this past weekend with 42 women. So it's crazy to think started with only 3, and now it was 42 women in the event. So it's really cool.
Yeah, you see that everywhere. We saw it at Moody's. And with the scores too, they were talking about the scores were something like 30 over or something the previous in previous tournaments, and then they were shooting in the high teens down.
Wow. So Texas has a big women's population, right? You guys had the Texas women's was a huge, one of the first, if maybe not the first, women's only tournaments. I think, I'm not sure if I'm accurate on that, but I think if it wasn't the first, it was very close to one of the first. So yeah,
I know Vinnie Miller was real active in it.
Yeah,
and bringing women in and supporting women and the growth of the sport there.
Well, we got to also.
And Vinnie was probably the TD at the tournament you were talking about in Round Rock.
Yes.
Don't forget about our own local Hall of Famer. We are just right down the street from Andy Young, and I did see once I creeped on your page. I got this beautiful picture of your beautiful dog there.
I know, I love it.
Kelsey.
Andy Young was she was a huge influence on me in my early career, because when I started working at the PDGA, I would go into the archive room and sort through all the magazines, and I ran across a bunch of articles about Andy. And when you put your entire heart and soul and every minute of your day into something, sometimes you can kind of get frustrated. So I reached out to Andy, and she probably doesn't remember this because she just touches so many people, but I was just like, how do you do it? How do you do all of this? And this was before she was in the Hall of Fame. And I was like, and people don't even, all over the world don't know who you are, and they should, And Andy, she said to me, she goes, you just kind of sprinkle seeds, and if they grow, great. They don't, you keep planting gardens wherever you can until you get it to grow. I mean, she's just an amazing person, and that helped me hang on. Just keep doing it, and maybe it doesn't work here, but if you just keep doing it, something will grow. And she's I think she was the first woman in the course designer group, I believe. I mean, she's got a lot of accolades that I hope the future generation of disc golfers will hear more about, because there's so many women that came before me and before us, before Meredith, before all of us, that made it possible for us to do what we do today. So
yeah, that's funny, because when I moved to the Houston area, my brother, who at the time was more into the sport than I was, he said, "Oh, you're moving to Andy's territory," and I was like, "Who's that guy?" He's like, "It's a lady." Okay.
That's
so awesome. I didn't even know who she was, but I know now. And we're very grateful to have Andy, no doubt. It's that's the first place when somebody's new to town. That's pretty much where we say go to Spring Valley, no doubt.
Yeah, I take her in a minute. If you guys ever want to ship her to South Carolina, we'd love to have her.
All right, you can have her. No, I'm kidding. Just joking. So what are you doing with the USDGC, women's USDGC? Am I right? And it seems like Mace Man was telling me something about that. Are you TD of that, or what's going on there?
Yeah, so it's called the Throw Pink Women's Disc Golf Championship, and it's more of an event to showcase the women, because it's just an A tier. I wasn't able to get major status from the PDGA because there's already the United States Women's Disc Golf Championship, and they crown the FPO division there. So if I had a women's FPO division and crown them a U.S. champion, then you would have 2 U.S. champions in 1 year. So fortunately, I couldn't get the major status, but I mean, I think
it's on the course though.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have the experience, and it's just the tier is just whatever it is. But the payouts are going to be amazing. The experience is going to be amazing, and the event is doing it's more than just it's for the FPOs, and they're going to get, featured on TV and highlighted and all that support. A really great payout, a great experience. But we're also raising money for breast cancer, and we have a huge clinic where the pro women come over and teach the new players at the end. So I mean, we're just really kind of paying it forward and hitting all different aspects in like 1 week. So I'm excited, really excited. It's my first time doing it.
It seems like a precursor to what might come, to have maybe the major crown there on that course, because it's just so historic. You would think that you would want the woman to be crowned there alongside the guys. That's just my opinion. So are you also involved, like Brian, in doing the ropes and getting the course ready at USDGC at Rock Hill?
Well, this is my first year really doing all that. Since 2017, I've basically just been like a cashier in the pro shop. That's kind of my only role. I just stand there and bring up customers. So I'm really excited about this year. I get
ice cream.
Yeah, you drink all the energy drinks so you can't fall asleep. You can just keep working, But this year I get to go in the Stone House with the big boys and get behind the scenes and see how everything works. I've been working with Jonathan Poole. He's been a great mentor for me throughout this process. So I kind of get to dabble in everything this year, and I'm really excited about it.
So what's the Stone House?
Not exactly sure. It's like an old house on Winthrop University, where I call it the fancy house, but mostly because it's like at the VIP area. So, but it's just a house made out of stone.
Can you speak a little bit to your position that you held with the PDGA with the membership, and how long that you were the manager of the membership drive for the PDGA? Can you speak a little bit to that position and what it entailed that you had to do?
So I worked there from 2011 to 2015 as a memberships manager, and then I was a consultant for them from 2015 to 2017 before I started working for Innova in 2017. But back in my day, I sound like I'm older than I am, but back in my day, before Steve Gans came on and the IT got really tight with the PDGA, the membership stuff was still very much manual entry. We did a lot of Microsoft Access and imports and typing in addresses, and so it was a lot of data entry. Now it's just, everything's like a drag and drop, and it's all on the website and it's all automated. So a lot of my job was that, but then I got to go to all the world championships. I helped run all the events that were at the IDGC, and we hosted like 20 events a year, in addition to just coming up with initiatives to, grow the membership base. With Val Jenkins, I came up with the Women's Global event, which gets more women members than any other event in disc golf. They get hundreds of new members with that event. So it was a lot of fun. Athling, Georgia, if you don't play disc golf, is not really that fun of a town. But luckily lucky for me, I play disc golf, so I had plenty to do there. So it was quite a transition.
That's true of any town, really. If it has baskets, you got something to do, no doubt.
Like D. Ritter, Louisiana, Hemi.
D. Ritter, that's right. We love D. Ritter. Hey, Sarah, have you ever played D. Ritter?
I haven't.
It's a tiny little course, tiny little town. But like you said, it's kind of like what you were just saying. some of those towns, there's nothing else to do. You just hope that there's some kind of disc golf, and there's kind of like the So-So Classic coming up in Tinton, Texas. It's a treasure, but unless you blinked an eye, you wouldn't even know that course was there. But man, it is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it's stunning. Great course. Thank you again for coming on, Sarah. Is there anybody you'd like to thank, your sponsors, or anything you'd like to leave us with? Some words of wisdom?
Really have words of wisdom, but I should say Chains for Charity, because Jay Redding, and now a fellow Texan of you guys, told me I needed to start plugging the Chains for Charity that he does at the USUGC, and people can register for it on Disc Golf United. It's kind of where you kind of bet on how many people are going to get birdies, and then the money goes to Edge and Throw Pink. I'm not plugging it very well, but to be fair, he just told me about it this morning, so I haven't had enough time to really plug it. But you can find it on Facebook on the Educational Disc Golf Experience page. But he wanted me to plug that, and then I always thank my dad and my grandma, because they're my two biggest fans, and sometimes the only people that watch me on shows. And then just, thanks to Genevieve, who is my social media manager. So, but I appreciate you guys having me on. This was a lot of fun. We should do this on Friday nights. I don't have a lot going on.
Let's do it. Yeah. All right. That's
well, you got new fans here in Houston, that's for sure. We're
Sara Nicholson Friday night show.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks, Mace, for inviting me. And you guys.
Sure, I'll see you in a couple of days.
All right. Thanks so much. Bye, everyone.
I hope to see you out in FP40 field. Hope to cross paths with you. So.
Oh, let's go, Meredith.
All right.
Thanks. Bye.
Good night.